Liam was tired. His body ached. His armor was covered in dust and blood. The war between humans and aliens had dragged on for months. He had seen too many people die, too many friends, too much destruction. Now, he stood alone in the burning forest, his rifle low, scanning the smoke-filled air. Suddenly, he heard something, a low groan. Not human. Liam turned toward the sound. Just behind a half-destroyed tree, he saw a large alien body, blue skin, glowing veins, thick armor cracked across the chest. It was a Drahari, one of the enemy generals. Liam raised his weapon but paused. The alien wasn't attacking. He wasn't even moving. He was hurt. Badly. Blood poured from the alien's side. His breathing was slow. Faint. A small beacon near. His belt blinked red, emergency life signal. Liam hesitated. His orders were clear. Leave no alien alive. But something inside him, something human, stopped him from pulling the trigger. He dropped his rifle, moved closer, and knelt beside the alien. "You're not gonna die here," Liam muttered. The alien's eyes opened. Barely. His lips moved. "I save—" Liam didn't understand the rest. But the look in the alien's eyes wasn't of hate. It was of fear and hope. With all his strength, Liam lifted the alien's heavy body onto his back. The armor dug into his shoulder. The heat burned his skin, but he pushed forward. He walked for over an hour through fire, smoke, and falling debris. Once a drone spotted him and fired. Liam dodged behind a rock and kept going. Another time, a human soldier saw him carrying the alien and shouted, "Arr, you crazy, Liam? That thing's the enemy." Liam didn't stop. "He's still alive," he shouted back. He finally reached the nearest outpost. The medics rushed toward him but froze when they saw the alien. "Back away, Liam," one shouted. "That's a Drahari." "He's not fighting anymore," Liam said. "He's bleeding, he's dying, he's someone's father, someone's leader." The medics looked at each other. One stepped forward and began treating the alien. Liam collapsed nearby, breathing hard. As the alien was lifted onto a stretcher, he turned his head. His glowing blue eyes locked with Liam's. He raised a trembling hand and touched Liam's forehead. Strange blue light appeared for a second. A soft symbol glowed, then vanished. "What was that?" one medic asked. Liam shrugged. "I don't know." The alien whispered something again. Just one word this time. "Debt." Then he passed out. Later, in the safety tent, Liam sat alone, staring at his hands. He didn't know what he had just done. He had saved an enemy. He had broken orders. He had followed his gut. A captain came in. "Liam, you disobeyed direct orders today." "I know," Liam replied calmly. "But you saved a life. And not just any life. That was Commander Thalek, one of their top leaders. If this leads to peace talks, you might have just changed the war." Liam didn't say anything. He didn't feel like a hero. He just saw someone dying and couldn't walk away. But what he didn't know was that Drahari culture had ancient rules. If someone saved the life of a blooded leader, they were forever bound to that leader's family. He had started something far bigger than war. He had changed the future of his life and the fate of a royal daughter he had never met. It had been 7 years since Liam saved the alien commander. The war was long over. Peace treaties were signed and the galaxy slowly healed. Liam had left the battlefield behind. He now lived quietly on a green planet near Earth's outer colonies. A small house, a garden, no weapons, just peace. He never heard from the alien he saved. Never expected to, until the day the sky opened. A giant golden black ship hovered above his farm, humming softly. Birds scattered. Animals ran. Liam stood on his porch, gripping a shovel, blinking up at the floating ship. It had no weapons visible, but it radiated power. From beneath it, a glowing platform lowered to the ground. 2 tall Drahari stepped off, both dressed in ceremonial robes, their blue skin marked with royal symbols. They looked at Liam and bowed. "Liam, Harlan, one said in perfect English, you are summoned by royal decree. Your presence is required on Drahalis. Liam blinked. Excuse me? The life debt bond has been activated, the second alien added. You must come. Immediately. I don't owe anyone anything, Liam replied, confused. But then he remembered the alien he saved, the strange glowing mark. The word debt. Before he could protest further, one of the aliens raised a small orb. It projected a message, holographic and clear. A powerful alien voice echoed, Human Liam, you saved my life. By sacred law, the bond is now active. Come and claim what you are owed. The message ended. Liam had a choice, but deep inside, he felt like fate had already decided. He arrived on Drahalis 3 days later. The planet was breathtaking. Giant crystal mountains, glowing rivers, purple skies with twin moons, but the capital city felt cold. Eyes followed him. Whispers rose as he passed. Is that the human? He doesn't look royal. He doesn't know what's coming. He was led through enormous golden halls to the Grand Hall of Unity. At the center was a throne shaped like a crescent moon. Sitting beside it was Commander Thalek, the very alien Liam had once carried through fire. He looked older, but stronger, healthier. When Thalek saw Liam, he rose. You came, Thalek said. You still carry the mark. I didn't come for rewards, Liam said calmly. I just did what felt right. Thalek nodded. And now the law must honor that. You saved the life of a high blood. In our culture, that life becomes tied to yours. Liam raised an eyebrow. Tied how? The throne doors opened. In walked a tall, stunning alien woman. Her skin shimmered like violet sapphire. Long black hair framed her fierce, elegant face. She wore ceremonial armor over soft fabrics, and her violet eyes were sharp, but unreadable. This, Thalek said, is my daughter, Princess Avra. Avra stood straight. She looked at Liam as if studying a puzzle. You saved my father, she said flatly, and because of that I am bound by law to become your mate. Liam's heart dropped. Wait, what? It is the law of sacred return, Thalek explained. The daughter of a saved life becomes the gift of alliance. She is yours, by law, by custom, and by blood. Liam stared at Avra. She didn't smile. She didn't frown. She just looked trapped. I didn't save your father for this, Liam said. Avra nodded. I didn't ask for this either, human, but the law is clear. Twist. The royal advisors step forward and whisper to Thalek. There are voices of protest. Some nobles want the law broken. Others whisper of scandal. Thalek raises his hand. A bond must be tested before sealed. The old ways demand it. He turns to Liam and Avra. You will undergo the 3 trials of binding. If the bond survives, the wedding shall proceed. Liam sighs. Trials. Avra crosses her arms. You'll probably fail. Liam smirks. We'll see. Cliffhanger ending. Outside the palace, in the shadows, a masked alien watches the scene through a spy drone. The human arrived. The masked figure whispers. Begin the plan.
The union must never happen.
Ivra stood on the balcony of the Crystal Palace, staring at the twin moons above. Their pale light bathed her blue skin in a silver glow. Her fingers touched the edge of her necklace. An old Drahari heirloom passed from mother to daughter. But tonight it felt more like a chain. Below her she could hear the human's footsteps. Liam, the man she was now bound to. The man she didn't choose. Avra's jaw tightened. She was a royal daughter. A trained warrior. She had led fleets and held command before most humans learned to walk. And yet, because of one ancient law and a single heroic act, her fate had been stolen from her. She didn't hate Liam, but she hated this bond. Liam walked into the quiet hall outside her chamber. The alien servants bowed as he passed. Everyone stared at him as if he didn't belong, and maybe he didn't. He stopped at her door. Knocked. The door opened slowly. Avra stood tall, her face unreadable. "We begin the first trial at dawn," she said. "Be ready." Liam nodded. "What is it?" She turned without answering, her long braids swinging behind her. At sunrise, they stood at the mouth of the Ember Caves. Avra's voice was calm. "The trial of flame tests our instincts. In danger, only bonded pairs can enter. If one fails, both fail." Liam looked at the cave entrance. It hissed with heat. Orange-red crystals lined the walls, glowing with ancient energy. "Is this a test?" he asked, "or a trap?" Avra gave a slight smile. "Both." They stepped inside. The cave was alive. Pulsing walls, heat waves, sounds of whispers and low growls echoed through the air. Suddenly, a blast of heat roared ahead of them. A fire beast, half smoke, half lava, emerged from the dark. Liam raised his arms. "That thing looks like a nightmare." Avra moved fast, throwing a spear of energy light. It hit the beast's side, but it didn't fall. Instead, it split into two. "Lesson 1, Avra said, panting. "Don't fight alone." They moved as a unit, Avra dodging, Liam striking from the side. The beast fell, but Liam took a burn across his shoulder. Avra quickly pressed a crystal leaf to his wound. It glowed and sealed the skin. He looked at her, surprised. "You didn't have to do that." She looked away. "You carried my father through fire. I can manage one burn." Hours later, they emerged from the cave, covered in sweat and ash. The elders waiting outside gave slow nods. The first trial was passed. Liam sat down and caught his breath. Avra stood tall, but he noticed her hands shaking slightly. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," she snapped. But Liam saw through her. "You don't want this bond, do you?" Avra turned toward him, eyes hard. "You're not weak, Liam. But you're not one of us. Our people expect me to lead with strength, not emotion. So why follow the law?" She looked at the ground. "Because if I break it, my father loses honor. Our family is shamed, and the council might remove him from power." Liam was quiet. Then he said softly, "So you have no choice." Avra didn't answer. She just walked away. That night, she sat alone in the royal gardens. A shadow moved behind the trees. A voice whispered, "You don't need to bind yourself to that human, princess." Avra jumped to her feet. "Who's there?" A masked figure stepped from the dark. "There are ways to undo this bond, but you must want it gone." Avra's heart pounded. "What are you talking about?" The figure threw a small device at her feet. "Take this. Use it during the second trial. It will trigger a failure and release you both." Avra stared at the device. Freedom. A way out. But why did the offer feel like a trap? The wind howled across the floating steppes of Velakara. Massive stone slabs shaped like leaves hovered in the sky, each one glowing softly with blue energy. Beneath them was endless sky. One wrong step meant death. Liam stared down at the first floating stone. "Let me guess," he said. "This is the second trial?" Avra nodded without looking at him. "The trial of trust. Only one can see the safe path. The other must walk blind." Liam blinked. "Wait. Blind?" Avra pulled out a dark silk band and handed it to him. "You. Trust me," she said, her voice flat. "Don't you?" Liam gave a crooked smile. "Do I have a choice?" She didn't answer. She just turned and began stepping across the stones. Liam sighed and tied the blindfold. The wind rushed around him, tugging at his jacket. "Left," Avra called. "Now forward. 2 steps." He followed, step by step. Every floating slab shifted. Slightly under his boots, he couldn't see anything. Only her voice guided him. What she didn't tell him. The Drahari tradition allowed a partner to trigger trial failure, secretly through sabotage. And Avra had the device in her belt. One click. One small push at the right time. Liam would fall. The trial would end. Their bond would break. Her people would be free of this union. She watched him carefully. So blind, so vulnerable. But then something unexpected happened. Liam slipped. She gasped. Instinct took over. Avra leapt forward and grabbed his hand, just before he fell. Their weight tipped the floating slab, but she held on, her nails digging, into his arm. "You had me," he said, breathing hard. She looked at his hand in hers. "I did," she whispered. "I still do." She pulled him up. The elders watching from below raised ceremonial staffs in silent approval. The trial continued. By the time they reached the other side, the skies had turned golden. The second trial was complete. Liam collapsed onto the grass. "Next time, no blindfolds, yeah?" Avra sat beside him, silent. "You could have let me fall," Liam said softly. "Ended the whole thing." Avra looked at him sharply. "Why would you say that?" "Because you don't want this. I can see it in your eyes." She didn't deny it. Then she pulled the small sabotage device from her belt and placed it between them. "I was given this last night," she said. "A way to end everything." Liam's eyes narrowed. "Did you think about using it?" She paused. "Yes." Liam sat up straighter. "Why didn't you?" Avra looked up at the sky. "Because when you slipped, I didn't hesitate. I didn't think of laws. I just thought, I don't want him to die." Their eyes met. No more lies, no more pretending. Avra stood and crushed the device under her heel. At that same moment, far away in the shadows of the council chamber, someone was watching through a hidden drone. "She's changed," a council elder hissed. "She's starting to accept him," another voice replied, colder. "Then we must ensure she never finishes the third trial." That night, Avra returned to her chamber. Her mind was full of questions. Not about Liam, but about herself. All her life, she followed duty, honor, command. But today she had chosen differently. She had chosen him. Not for politics, not for peace, because he had trusted her blindly, and she didn't want to break that trust. But in the shadows of her chamber, a small mechanical insect crawled across the wall, its red eye blinking. Someone was watching her. Someone who did not want the final trial to succeed. Deep inside the high tower of council minds, shadows moved like ghosts. The chamber walls pulsed with ancient energy, alive, whispering secrets in forgotten Drahari tongues. Elder Voran sat in silence, his long fingers resting against a crystal table. His eyes glowed faintly, watching a floating image above the center of the room. In the image, Avra, laughing. Next to her, Liam walked through the moon gardens, his arm slightly brushing hers. They looked comfortable. Too comfortable. Elder Voran's lips tightened. "She's beginning to forget what she is." A younger counselor stepped forward. "They've passed 2 trials. If they succeed in the final one, the bond becomes eternal." Voran turned slowly. "Then we make sure they don't." He waved a hand over the table and a dark projection appeared, a creature made of metal and mist, banned long ago by Drahari law. "The Shadowborn," Voran whispered. "One will be released during the trial of heart." "But that trial is sacred," the younger one gasped. "A vision test, meant only to reveal the truth in one's soul." Voran smiled coldly. "Exactly. Let's see what's hidden in the heart, when fear is unleashed." The next morning, Liam stood in front of a glowing archway at the Hall of Reflections. Avra stood beside him, dressed in flowing robes instead of armor. Her hair was loose, her expression calm, but inside, her heart pounded. "This is the final trial," she said quietly. "The trial of heart." Liam raised an eyebrow. "What do we do? Fight? Climb? Solve riddles?" Avra shook her head. "You walk through the arch and face yourself." Liam blinked. "What?" "The arch shows your deepest fear, your hidden pain. You cannot fight it. Only understand it." Before he could reply, the arch opened. A soft pulse of light surrounded them both. 2 figures entered as one. Inside the trial chamber, the world was silent. They found themselves standing in an open void, nothing but stars above and below. Suddenly, the air changed. Liam turned and saw someone standing across from him, his little sister Mia. But Mia had died when he was just a teen. She stepped forward, her eyes empty. "You left me, Liam. You saved a stranger, but not your own family." Liam's knees shook. "No," he whispered. "This isn't real." But the voice inside him whispered, "What if it is?" Avra faced something else. Her mother. Dead long ago in war, her face now twisted in sadness. "You trust a human over your own kind," the vision said. "You betray your blood, you betray me." Avra tried to look away. "This isn't truth, just fear." But the words stung, because a part of her did feel guilty. That's when it happened. The vision of her mother began to change, twisting, stretching, until it became something monstrous. Black smoke poured from its eyes. Its mouth unhinged. It lunged. Avra stepped back, startled. "That's not part of the trial," the creature hissed and bit her shoulder. "She," screamed. From far away, Liam heard her cry. He shook off the illusion of Mia and ran through the void. He found Avra collapsed, bleeding. The monster turned on him. Without thinking, Liam picked up a fallen crystal shard and stabbed the creature in its chest. It howled and vanished into smoke. The trial room glowed again, and suddenly they were outside the archway, coughing and holding on to each other. Elders rushed to them. Avra looked up, her arm bleeding. "That wasn't part of the test," she said. Something attacked me." One elder looked confused. The other looked nervous. Liam stood and shouted, "Check the archives. That thing wasn't a vision. It was real." Avra turned toward the royal guards. "Seal the council chamber. No one enters or leaves until we know who did this." That night, inside the palace, Avra sat beside Liam. His hands were still trembling. "I saw my sister," he said quietly. "She died years ago. But the guilt, it felt real." Avra nodded. "I saw my mother. And I realized something." He looked at her. She took a deep breath. "I don't want this bond because of law anymore. I want it because when I was
In danger, it wasn't duty that saved me. It was you." Liam smiled faintly. "And I didn't save you because of a trial. I saved you because I couldn't bear to lose you."
Their hands touched. Outside the room, one of the palace guards opened a communicator. "The bond survived," he whispered. "The trials are complete. She'll marry the human." A voice replied, "Then we'll strike before the ceremony." The tea. Sky over Drahalis turned violet as twin moons aligned, a sign of rare union and sacred timing. Across the shining city, bells chimed, and royal banners fluttered in the soft breeze. Inside the palace, servants rushed between crystal corridors, placing flowers that glowed softly, lighting the ceremonial halls. It was a day of celebration, but Avra stood alone in front of the mirror. Her dress wasn't armor today. It was ceremonial silk, layered with sapphire patterns of her bloodline. A crown of living crystals floated just above her head, reacting to her breath, her heartbeat. She didn't feel like a warrior, or a princess, or a bride. She felt nervous, not because of fear, but because this time, she was choosing the bond for herself. Elsewhere in the palace, Liam adjusted the stiff royal tunic he had been given. It didn't fit right. The collar itched. But that wasn't what made him uneasy. A message had arrived earlier, unsigned, delivered in secret. "The council will strike before the vows. Leave now, or blood will be spilled." He crumpled the note, tossing it into the fire. "No," he whispered, "not today." The Grand Union Hall was filled with thousands. Drahari nobles, human diplomats, and media from across the galaxy had gathered to witness history. At the center stood the Heartstone altar, where ancient bindings of truth and soul were performed. It pulsed with life. Avra entered first, walking with dignity. The crowd fell silent. Then Liam stepped in, alone, steady. His eyes never left hers. They met in the middle. The high priest began the sacred rite. By law and by will. This bond shall be spoken and sealed. Speak your choice. Ivra turned to Liam. Her voice was clear. I am Ivra, daughter of Thalik. I offer not out of duty, but of desire. I choose this bond freely. Liam looked into her eyes. I'm just a human, no royal blood, no alien power. But I know loyalty, and I know you. I choose this bond, completely. The heartstone glowed, just as the priest lifted the sacred seal. The wall exploded. Screams echoed as smoke filled the hall. From the blast, black-armored attackers stormed in. Drahari extremists loyal to Elder Varan. Their weapons crackled with dark energy. Take the human, a voice shouted. Avra didn't wait. In a blur, she pulled Liam behind her, grabbed a fallen guard's blade, and slashed through 2 attackers. Liam pulled a second weapon from a broken pillar and stood beside her. Together? He asked. She grinned. Now you sound like a true bondmate. The battle raged inside the hall. Nobles fled. Guards clashed. The heartstone cracked under stray blasts. Varan appeared through the smoke, stepping onto the altar like a vulture. This bond is a stain on our blood, he shouted. She was never meant to choose a human, Avra growled. Then maybe our blood needed change. Varan raised a weapon toward Liam. Avra threw her blade. It struck his hand, sending the weapon flying. But Varan wasn't done. He activated a device hidden in his robe. The heartstone trembled. It's unstable, a priest shouted. If it breaks, it'll destroy the entire hall. Liam looked at Avra. You go after him, I'll stop the stone. You don't know how. I don't need to. I just need to try. Liam ran to the heartstone now, glowing wildly. He dropped to his knees and reached into the old roots beneath it, where glowing tendrils pulsed. His hands burned. Visions flashed in his mind. Memories of war, of saving Thalik, of holding Avra in the trial chamber. He saw her, standing, in fire, calling his name. The stone responded to his will. With one final surge, Liam shouted and pushed his energy into it. The glow dimmed. The shaking stopped. He collapsed, unconscious. Avra stood above Varan now, her blade at his throat. You brought shame to our people, she said coldly. And you tried to take my bond. Varan hissed. You would defend him over your own kind. She stared at him. He is my kind now. She knocked him out. Later in the healing chamber, Liam awoke to find Avra sitting beside him. Her hand held his. You did it, she whispered. He gave a weak smile. Did we still get married? She laughed, a sound he didn't hear often. Not officially. Want to try again tomorrow? Avra leaned in, her voice soft. How about now? She kissed his forehead. Outside the chamber, news spread across the stars. The princess chose a human, and he chose her back, not by law, but by love. The sky above Drahalis was quiet again. Smoke had cleared. The golden banners were rehung. The heartstone, though cracked, still pulsed gently, like a heart that had survived a near death. But in a quiet garden deep within the palace walls, everything had already changed. Avra stood barefoot on the grass, her crown gone, her armor replaced by a simple tunic. No guards, no advisors, no weight of duty. Liam sat across from her, sharpening a small tool in his hand, something human-made. His shoulder was bandaged, his hands were still bruised from saving the heartstone, but his smile was steady. You sure you want to go through with this? He asked. Avra tilted her head. You're the one who nearly blew yourself up to protect our bond. I thought you said that wasn't romantic by Drahari standards. She gave him a sly smile. It is now. Later that evening, the ceremony was redone. No crowds, no fireworks, Just the two of them beneath the first moon tree, where the old Drahari planted bonds with their own hands. The high priest placed the final seal, a glowing band etched across their palms. By spirit, by trust, and by will, he said. Not by law, but by choice. Avra looked into Liam's eyes, and for once there was no tension, no fear, just truth. You came into my life as a law, she whispered, but stayed as a choice. He grinned. Then I guess I'm officially married to an alien war princess. She leaned close. And I'm married to a stubborn, brave, reckless human. News spread quickly. The princess didn't just obey the law. She rewrote it. A human and a Drahari bound by something stronger than custom, trust. And more surprising than anything else, people began to follow. Other Drahari began questioning old laws. Some even sought partnerships with humans. Peace became more than a treaty. It became real. Avra and Liam didn't stay in the palace. They moved to the edge of the silver cliffs, where the sea met the sky. A small house was built on the rocks, half human, half Drahari design. Avra returned to her combat training, but now trained both alien and human recruits together. Liam opened a forge. He made things by hand again. Fixed old ships, repaired tools. Built bridges, literally and metaphorically. Sometimes they still argued. About breakfast, about boots, about how to decorate the bedroom ceiling. But they laughed more. They grew together. One night as the twin moons rose, Avra stood outside looking at the stars. Liam stepped behind her and wrapped his arms around her. You thinking about the war again? He asked. No, she said softly. I'm thinking about how one act of kindness changed everything. He kissed her shoulder. And how one alien father owed me the best reward of my life. She turned to him, smiling. Then I guess you're lucky I didn't stab you the first day. They both laughed. Far away in the old council ruins, the broken chair of Elder Varan lay abandoned. No one wanted power over people anymore. They wanted with people, and at the center of it all was a woman who once obeyed the law, and a man who once saved a stranger. Together they had rewritten history.